really drawn towards his desire to speak about his advocacy for the autism world. And not too often on LinkedIn do we see parents who are professionals reaching out to share that personal side of their story. So I am the older sister of a woman named Natalie Rose, and Natalie, unfortunately, is a Me Too victim. Natalie was sexually assaulted, most likely what we'll say is at a day program, at the age of about 30. She's currently 39. And I learned about this back in 2012. And unfortunately, Natalie had a very unfortunate diagnosis of an infection, which led us to understand that she was being abused at her program. She only lives with women in the home, so we knew it was happening at this program. And so I, as her older sister, and I'm the oldest of four, and she's number two, I am really big advocate for her and for people who are voiceless. So let me share with you a little bit about Natalie. Natalie is like a 10-month-old baby. She wears diapers. She has to be fed. She's 24/7 care. And so understanding her reliance on a system, and a system that unfortunately is so broken, it really lights my fire. So this happened in 2012. The state of California says, look, we have a mandated reporting law. You have to report this incident within 2 hours. And I told her social worker about what happened. And unfortunately, the mandated report wasn't filed until 9 years later because I had sent a letter and I kept sending letters. The criminal investigation into the program is still open. And the facility quickly settled, I will tell you. They quickly settled. They received their funding from Sacramento and from Washington, D.C., and they pay their insurance premiums with taxpayer dollars. And so they quickly settled, and my mother had to sign a non-disclosure agreement in exchange for money. I will tell you right now, per Tarana Burke's latest TED Talk, people with disabilities have the highest rate of sexual assault out of any group. The rate is 7 times, and I was not aware of that prior to my. And the rate for women with disabilities is 12 times. And so I'm here before you today with the resolution that my counterpart and my advocacy partner, Marisol, has helped me craft, just to share. My day job is managing shopping centers and shopping malls. So I am not politically driven, but right now, I believe this will not be the last that did put up in the chat 2 resolutions. And so I shared with Marisol, my sister's story. And basically, my husband, who worked in government, said, you need more transparency. We need to see what's really going on, especially since a lot of these programs are taking taxpayer dollars and spending them on secret settlements, the issue, and doing risk reduction measures instead of just telling people to be quiet. And many of the families that I've worked with have signed non-disclosure agreements, and they don't want to talk about it in fear of being, because people with disabilities truly is a voiceless population to a degree. And I know that we can do better. So my first step here is with, and I'll start with the resolution that Marisol co-authored with me. It's titled Secret Settlement Transparency for Dependent Adults with Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities Who Are Victims of Sexual Assault. I will tell you right now that is with the California Democratic Resolutions Committee. They have been changing it around just a tad bit, but the substance is still there. And so I'm before you today to earn your group's endorsement of this resolution. We have already submitted it to the Resolutions Committee, but this is just the beginning. We're not done yet. So let me see here. So basically what we're asking, and I'll read the first therefore. Therefore, we ask that the California Democratic Party join us in asking our county, state, and federal representatives to consider legislation that will mandate government agencies that serve dependent individuals to file an annual report that outlines the number of settlements they have entered into. When we know the number of settlements, well, we know that there's something bigger being covered up. And why a claim was brought forth. Is it financial abuse? Is it physical abuse? Is it sexual assault? It will require the report to go back 10 years. And why? Because we need historical future changes. And we want accountability as to how our money as taxpayers is being spent to discourage government agencies from covering up crimes against a very silent population. Just like the cigarette industry, we're asking that a % of monetary settlements go back to better care provider screening, research protocols to prevent and document incidents of abuse, as well as technology. We're in the age of technology. I firmly believe that technology could be the voice of people with disabilities and help advocate for their healthcare needs on so many levels. And I even wear a Fitbit today. So that's the resolution. Are there any questions I can answer?
So what we're going to do, Julie, is kind of, Moz is our resident healthcare expert, so he's going to ask you some good technical questions. But we're probably going to take the resolutions in and let everyone digest it. And
Okay.
if there is a vote to take, maybe they'll do it next time or something.
Oh, perfect.
If you don't mind. But go ahead, Moz.
Julie, thank you for doing this. And I did sign your resolution a couple days ago. It seemed like total common sense to me. My question is, who or what do you perceive to be the resistance against such a common sense measure? What is their stated objection? What is their real objection?
And this is a grassroots effort by many means right now. So I'm actually teaming up with Contra Costa County Bar Association, as well as a group of women lawyers who are leaders in the state. This just happened. I have a call with them in about 2 weeks. They're very interested in identifying who the sharks are. And I know Shariar, I hope I said your name properly. We have also discussed this as well. And, at the end of the day, it's going to be day programs that serve people with disabilities that really don't want to lift the veil on all of the secret settlements that they're signing. I've been told to keep an eye out for, different insurance lobbyists. So we're still trying to identify, again, it's common sense. We're still trying to identify who would be up against this. And it's a great question. And if you know of anybody, let me know, because I can prepare.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then the second resolution is really Marisol. So Marisol has a daughter with disabilities who's now currently in college. And her daughter was born typical and then had brain cancer and had several surgeries. And she really had to advocate for her daughter. So I'll just quickly discuss with you her final therefore. Hi, Olivia. My little one's here. So basically, caregivers, the burden of care on people with disability really is on family caregivers. And what Marisol has noted is that they're paid less to care for people who are medically fragile. And we really need to pay home caregivers the rate, the skill set needed to take care of, to take care of the individual with disabilities. Giving is a huge responsibility and it can take years off your life. So she's asking the California Democratic care providers and asking a mandate that the Board of Supervisors pay equivalent to their level of skilled services and protect their retirement benefits through CalSavers or pension. The state legislator to pay family medical leave and vacation, more accrued paid sick days, and permanent end to the 7% cut to consumer hours. And then for state and federal representatives to protect dependent inheritance. It's quite a bit in that one. As I mentioned, my mom, when my sister was diagnosed, we kept her home for 4 years straight without any services or support. My mom was a head nurse at Northwestern Hospital in Chicago. She had the skill set and she had the knowledge to take care of my sister. Marisol educated herself about her daughter's condition and advocated with doctors and got, was able to really understand what it took to take care of her daughter. And it was, feeding tubes and injections. So she's had to learn how to care for her daughter, and it's a medical skill set, nursing skill set that's needed, and she wants to be paid for that.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I just want to echo everything Julie said. Being a special needs parent, you suddenly are thrusted into a whole world that you're not prepared for. As most parents know, kids don't come with an instruction book, and special needs siblings or kids come with an extra set of challenges with no instructions, hardly anyone to help you. It's just trial and error. And in this case, if you happen to be a victim as well, the fact that the system that is designed to help you is designed to actually protect itself first. From my experience has been the educational, insurance, and other social services, they're all designed to protect themselves first and foremost. And if they can kind of safely support their clients, then they will. But for the most part, parents are left on their own to try to defend their loved ones, from the care facility to the school system to the insurance. To it just adds insult to injury. So that's just been my experience. So when Julie and I met on LinkedIn, it was not really, she had me at hello. So there wasn't really much to sell. But I did commit to her that I'm going to personally try to help her through my own platforms with Autism Spa and other political connections. But because she was proposing this to the Democratic Party, obviously felt appropriate to come to this forum, and I'm going to continue to follow up for her with Melahat, the lady running for the secretary position, the California Democratic Party secretary position. So hopefully she can help us once she gets elected, I think whenever the election is coming up. Anyway, Maz, did you want to add anything, or could we kind of cut Julie loose? No, you're good? Okay. All right. Any other questions from the gallery? No? Somebody's moving? No? Okay. All right. All right, Julie. And what was your daughter's name?
What's your name?
Olivia.
Olivia. That's my favorite name. How did you get my favorite name?
I don't know.
Thank you, Olivia. Thank you, Julie. We'll be in touch. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you so much. Have a great
Bye.
meeting, everyone. Thank
Bye-bye.
you. I appreciate it.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. So long. All right. So, all right. So we're going to now move to our featured speaker. Nelson, I'm not going to read your bio. If you could, though, indulge us and kind of introduce yourself. Tell us about your organization, your background. How did you end up here? Your interest, and of course, we want to learn about sustainability and what your organization is doing to promote clean energy in San Diego.
Great, yeah. So hi, everyone. Nelson Lomeli. I am a program manager for San Diego Community Power. And my background is in working in what's called the California Community Choice Aggregation programs. And so prior to joining San Diego Community Power, I was actually working as a program manager for Sonoma Clean Power up in Santa Rosa. And I just recently moved down to San Diego. So I'm so excited to be part of this community. And I've been coming to San Diego for, oh man, like over 10 years now, every year, just trying to come down and see my friends who live down here. And I just love the city. So I'm incredibly lucky to now call this my home. But yeah, so my background is in energy. I got a bachelor's degree from Sonoma State in environmental studies with an emphasis in energy management. And that kind of just led me on this path towards renewable energy and working to make that happen across the state. So I actually have a little bit of a presentation prepared that I want to share with you all. Just bear with me while I try and pull it up, making sure that I present the right screen. Post disabled participant screen sharing. If that's not possible, let's see. Yay, okay. There we go. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Perfect, okay. So again, San Diego Community Power, we are a new organization. We were just started within the last 18 months. And we just started service to municipal accounts in March. The next phase of service, which is what we call the phase 2 launch, starts in June of this year, and it will be to commercial accounts. And I'll get into the details of that. So just a quick agenda of like what I'm going to cover. It's a quick presentation, but talk about who we are, what the new options are, how enrollment's going to work, what our rates are in comparison to the incumbent utility, which is SDG&E, and then talk about some of our goals, our mutual goals. So as I stated, San Diego Community Power is a publicly owned, not-for-profit provider of renewable, affordable electricity. So we don't have any shareholders. I like to say that the public, everyone who participates in our program is our shareholders. And that means that we are locally controlled. So our board of directors is actually made up of a representative, an elected official from each of our member cities, and they get to make the local decisions in terms of rate setting, what programs get implemented, what power gets purchased, who that power is purchased from. Ultimately, what we do is we compete with the incumbent utility to provide you. So I'll explain a little bit of how that works, but essentially SDG&E has three functions. One, which is providing gas service. The second part is they are the distribution utility. So they're the ones who owns the poles and the wires and distributes electricity. And the third function is they actually have to go out and contract or generate their own power. And so we are competing with them on that last piece, which is on the generation side of electricity. And so we compete and to provide you with more renewable energy. So we were founded the city of Chula Vista, Encinitas, Imperial Beach, La Mesa, and San Diego. And so someone from an elected official from each jurisdiction sits on our board of directors and makes those decisions. And so when the cities and took a choice and made a decision to participate in our program and aggregate, which is where the community choice aggregation, aggregate all of the electric accounts in their cities and now have them be served by us. So what do we offer? As I said, we offer competition. So prior to this, there was really no competition for SDG&E to do anything in terms of renewable energy. They were mandated, but now we offer competition. You'll see where we stand in terms of that. Energy at really competitive costs. One thing that we've heard from people is that customer service can be pretty bad. And so now we are providing an effective customer service, myself included. And we're doing local decision-making and transparency. So part of that is that we get to design and offer innovative programs. And all of that is, again, we take it to our board to make that decision-making in terms of what. Also, along with all of what we offer, we do ratepayer advocacy. So we are actively engaged in the proceedings at the California Public Utilities Commission, the Energy Commission, the legislature, any number of decision-making bodies advocating for our customers and making sure that their cost of electricity stays as low as possible and they're not being negatively impacted. So going competition, right? Where do we stand with our renewable portfolio? What does that look like? So as I said, we're enrolling commercial customers at the start, so businesses. But right now, we offer two services, which is Power On, which is our standard service. And then optionally, we have this service called Power 100. And the Power 100 is entirely 100% renewable energy, and it's an upgrade. So you have to enroll in that program, and it's an additional 0.0075 cents per kilowatt hour. So it's a very, very small premium for getting more renewable energy delivered to your home. If you don't decide to upgrade, you are still getting more renewable energy than we do right now. As you can see, our power on service has 50% renewable. And then you may see that little like 5% sliver, the little purple sliver, and you're like, what is that? That is called carbon-free energy. So essentially what that is, so in the state of California, they don't consider hydropower as large-scale hydropower, as renewable, because when the legislation was passed originally, the state said, oh, I don't know if we want to see more dams built and ecosystems destroyed. So they labeled that as carbon-free. And so in addition to that 50% renewable energy, we have an additional 5% that's carbon-free. And then the rest, what's called conventional energy, traditional energy, or sometimes you'll see it as systems power. It's just power that we purchase on the market, which is in our market, natural gas. So that's how our two offerings compare. And then when you talk about our offerings in comparison to the utility, they actually compare a lot better. So SDG&E right now is currently at 31% renewable energy. And as you can see, our portfolio is way cleaner. So our standard service is at 50, and that Power 100 is at 100% renewable energy. So this is just a bit of a chart to show you how we compare, because again, we're competing for your business. So enrollment, there's a lot of talk, there's a lot of confusion around enrollment. And so what does that process looks like? So because community choice aggregators like San Diego Community Power are public and they're owned by the customers we serve, and they're represented by public officials, the state legislature, when they passed the legislation enabling us, said when a community choice to a region, they get all of the customers. Because otherwise it would be impossible to purchase power for customers. And so when we started service back in March, the first accounts that we enrolled were municipal accounts. So everyone switched over to our service and started receiving 50% renewable energy from municipal accounts. In June, starting in June, our commercial accounts, our commercial and industrial accounts will be enrolled in our service and start receiving renewable energy as well. There are some exceptions to that, but I won't get too into the weeds about that. But it's important for commercial customers. But yes, so they're going to be enrolled in June. And then in 2022, once we have stabilized and gotten the enrollment process done, we're going to be enrolling all of the residential accounts. And this represents 695,000 accounts across the 5 cities. And so that will be done in 2022. Fun fact, our board is going to be looking at what that schedule looks like at the next board meeting this Thursday at 5 o'clock, I believe it is. So this is what enrollment will look like. And so what does that mean for you, right? Like what I like to say, what's not changing? So what's not changing is the billing. You still just get one bill from SDG&E, and what's changed on that bill is we now have a line item that says San Diego Community Power, and you get to see how much we charge and all that kind of things you see on the bill. Service reliability, because SDG&E is still the delivery utility, they're still responsible for maintaining the system reliability. As well as like if there's a power outage or something needs to be fixed, they're the ones to be called if you see something happening. The rate structures, I know a lot of customers really care about their rates, especially commercial customers. Those are staying the same, so we're matching those as well. And then if you or somebody you know is on some sort of discount, the example we have here is what's called CARE and FARA for low-income customers, or if you have a medical baseline, meaning you get an additional amount of energy for having like a medical device or anything of that sorts. Again, those continue on when we start service. What this ultimately means is that your day-to-day doesn't really change, but on the back end, we're busy providing you with renewable energy. So that's, what's changing is more renewable energy, effective customer service. And then talking about rates, we are now going to be offering competitive rates, meaning right now they're set to be a 1% savings on the total bill. So you will be saving a little bit of money a month by having San Diego Community Power as your provider. Additionally, because we're a publicly owned electricity provider, we have to reinvest any kind of earnings or revenues or anything of that sort that we make from the sale of electricity back into our community. So we're going to be reinvesting back in our community in any form that is allowed. So we can do energy programs, new innovative energy programs. We can lower rates if that is something that we can do. There's a bunch that we can do in terms of reinvesting back into the community. But again, we're going to be doing that because we're a public agency. And then part of that is the new programs that are going to be really addressing local needs. And that's really what I'm focused on, is getting to know what is the need of our local community, where can we fit in, what is the gap, what exists out there, and then trying to be innovative in that sense to help deliver more renewable energy, but also reduce emissions. So that's really important to us, is that we reduce emissions in our region. So the next slide is, sorry about that. Our next slide is really just kind of like a comparison of where our rates stand. So as you can see, the SDG&Es on the side, our Power 100 and our Power On. And so you can see that there's a savings there, and the delivery charge is the same. And then SDG&E adds some fees in there as well for us. But overall, we come to be lower than the incumbent utility. And again, these are draft average rates. Our board is actually going to be meeting, like I said, on Thursday and adopting rates for us.
Nelson, sorry to interrupt, but I just figured out something. Since I made you the host, there's somebody trying to get in, but only you can let him in.
Okay, let me see if I can switch real quick to the Zoom. No worries.
The age of
presentation real quick.
Why don't I see? So I figured out I'm not the host anymore. That's why.
There we go.
I thought you guys are trying to rig the elections, not letting my parents get in.
I thought about rigging it, but you guys are too smart for me.
Wait, were they going to vote for you?
Who knows? Probably not. They know me better than anybody, so they wouldn't. But
I'm not on the ballot, so I can't possibly get a vote. But who knows? So did that work? Oh yeah, here we go. I see all the 3 people were added. Oh, sorry, Nelson. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No worries. I'm glad I could let them in. So yeah, so these are our rates, our draft rates, and our board is going to adopt the rates this Thursday, and they meet at 5 p.m. Our agenda is posted online as well. And so in terms of like a bill comparison, I know a lot of that's the question that people get. It's like, what is my average bill going to look like? And so we've estimated sort of like what that would look like, average customer. And so if you're on Power 100, which is that 50% renewable product, you can look at something around the $80. And then if what's that gap for upgrading to Power 100? And it's really about $3 more a month to get 100% renewable energy. So we encourage anyone that can to really go into that, to enroll in that program once service is eligible. And then to stay on Power 100, really there's no action that needs to be done. The only action that really needs to be done is if you want to return back to SDG&E.
Sorry, somebody needs to go on mute. I don't know.
I'm trying to determine who that is.
Whoever's not on mute, please go on mute. So Nelson, since you got this slide up real quick, I just have a question. So Power On, and which sounds like a Fantastic Four, flame on, whatever. Okay.
Wax on, wax off.
Yeah. But Power On is and Power 100. Those are your programs.
Correct. Yeah, these are our two offerings. And so really what this shows is just the cost difference between the two.
And I don't know how many megawatts per month or whatever, but you're comparing it to if the non-renewable version is from SDG&E and that's $55.
No, so that's just the delivery fees from them. So no matter who you go with, if you go with San Diego Community Power or if you stay with SDG&E, they will charge you delivery fees regardless.
Because you're using their system.
Correct. Yeah.
To deliver somebody else's power. Okay. Okay. So
Yeah.
so it's 87 plus 55 and 22 and 10.
Nope. This is just the breakdown of that. So the
breakdown of
55,
87.
22, and 10. Yeah.
Oh, got it. Sorry.
Yeah.
So
No worries.
and when you
I've
say
been doing this for 7 years, so
Yeah.
it's
and when you say
confusing.
average, like how many when you say average home or average, what is that average cost? Like how many?
That's a really good question, and that's like something that I'm noticing now. It's probably with a couple hundred kilowatt hours. Yeah, we're actually actively working right now to come up with averages across like residential customers, averages across commercial customers, so that we can have a better display of that on our website. And actually, by law, we're required to send everyone a comparison, so you can see to SDG&E.
I see.
So we have to do that every year.
Well, the reason I ask is, and I don't want to interrupt your flow, but is that a lot of us have faced these calculations ad nauseum on considering getting solar power to our homes.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody comes in with some dog and pony show about how Samsung power panel and it's 330 megawatts and 320, I mean, some god-dizzying number of calculations to make. And then people tell you, well, are you going to stay in the home for 4 years or 5 years? Are you going to do this? Are you going to? I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to live tomorrow, but I'm, my solar is going to make it, but I may not. So I think if you're going to do this, I think the reality is a lot of people either have solar, which obviously you're kind of making your own renewable energy, right? You're kind of investing in your own community power. Is that how you?
Yeah. That's a really good point. So we will support solar. So that means that when you install solar, like if you currently have solar or if you install solar in the future, when you are generating extra energy, so we're doing all the accounting to make sure that you're being credited properly for that solar generation.
Because that's actually one of the big stumbling blocks or problems with generating too much solar, because SDG&E will buy it back from you wholesale and sell it to you if you're short retail, right? So that's just the beauty of their system. They got you either way, even if you're trying to do something good and invest, and God knows, a lot of people make those decisions about solar because you get a credit, so there's, and the guy who comes to your home, they make a dog and pony show that, look, you're almost, if your cost is high enough, you're almost breaking even. So why not pay for solar when you're going to own it, as opposed to paying SDG&E if your costs are high enough, depending on what your solar.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with the equation, because I used to do when I was at Sonoma Clean Power, I used to run their solar program as well.
Right.
So I know how it can be very confusing, and I'm not a solar vendor. I don't know what their pitch is, but I
sorry to interrupt your flow, but go ahead.
No worries. I actually really enjoy doing questions like this. And so the last slide that I have here is that we have goals set for our communities, for our organization. And that is to be 100% renewable by 2035 or sooner. If we can get there sooner, might as well. Our goal is to offer competitive rates, right? So again, we are a public agency. We're here to serve you. And so if we can offer competitive rates, we're going to do so. We're here to reduce emissions. That's really one of the big founding principles behind community choice aggregation, is to reduce emissions. We're here to prioritize local renewable and distributed energy systems, like you said, like solar. could be solar plus batteries or any other kind of combination of that. And we're here to benefit the local economy and their workforce. So that's important to us. That's part of our founding document. So we definitely want to set that as our goal. And then the last one, really it's not the last one, it's just the last bullet point here, is that we want to invest in communities of concerns and promote equity wherever feasible and where it's needed, really. And so that's some of our goals. And so one question that I like to ask people at the end of this presentation is like, how can we help you achieve your goals? How can we at San Diego Community Power, because we are a local agency, we are part of that community, help to achieve your goals? How can we work together to make that possible? And just, you know, kickstart that conversation of what we can do. Because again, we're here to work with you to address local needs. And so that's my presentation. Thank you for listening to my whole spiel. Here's my contact information if you need it. But I'm open for dialogue.
Thank you. So let me get back to being the host.
Yes.
If that's
Let me stop sharing.
Yeah. I
Then
don't know what I'm supposed to do to become the host again, but
I think I may have to do that.
you may have to unhook.
There we go.
There we go. All right. Okay. So I guess we can open it up to questions. If anyone has any good technical questions, so we can stump our speaker here, that would be good. If not, I'll ask a few questions. So I know you said obviously you're not an expert in the other organizations that are active in this field, but as far as I know, your Community Power is the only community choice aggregation organization that those founding cities are supporting, right? So San Diego, Chula Vista, Imperial, all those cities, you know, they're not like a non-profit. There's government organizations that came together and started to create this fund and create this organization for the benefit of their joint citizens. Could other cities join as time goes by?
That's totally possible. It really comes down to doing some kind of analysis in terms of like what the cost would be and the cost benefit analysis and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, other jurisdictions can join. And I know we've seen this in the news, but the county of San Diego has released some principles for when they're exploring joining a CCA in our territory. So there's two in San Diego County, actually. There's Clean Energy Alliance,
right,
which is up north. So I think I'm not entirely sure on all the cities, but they serve Solana Beach, Carlsbad, and I think Oceanside. I may be misspeaking, but they serve the communities up there. And so, yeah, definitely other cities can potentially join us as well.
I want to ask you why. I'm going to go to Maz in a second to ask a question, but I'm not going to ask you why there's two. I can only imagine local politics and maybe there was a technical reason, like physically the space, I don't know. But if you're living in Northern County, San Diego City, you may be under the Alliance's jurisdiction, if you want to say that. And then if you're in the southern cities, that's Imperial Beach up to San Diego, that's kind of you guys. Okay. So Maz, shoot.
Let me unmute myself. Okay, I actually have several questions, but I'll try to be polite here. First one is, I think you touched on this in your slides, the rate. I think it was kind of the question Shahir was getting to initially, which is how do you compare against SDG&E for an average person who wants to just compare? It sounds like SDG&E would still be slightly cheaper, if I understood correctly, right? The rate is a little lower.
Not with SDG&E, we would be. Our Power 100 is competitively priced, so we're about a 1% savings in comparison.
Okay, yeah, because I saw the 1% savings, but maybe there was a typo or something. But the rate I thought looked higher on the SDG&E energy. But okay, in 1%, it's the real reason to do this isn't so much about that 1%. It's more about the emissions.
The impact to climate, yes.
Impact to climate, obviously. So that's one. And then and sorry if you already kind of answered this, but for somebody who already has solar, does the equation change?
No, it doesn't. So at the moment, we're not going to be enrolling solar customers. We're postponing that till 2022. And we're going to be providing a similar program to SDG&E. Our board is going to be meeting to discuss like what that rate should be, establishing all of that. And that, I think, part of the beauty of this type of organization is that the board gets to make that decision at the local level, right? So as opposed to have lawyering up and going to the CPUC and trying to fight that with lawyers, we can solicit direct public input from our members and from our customers to set that rate. And so our board is going to be meeting to discuss what that program should look like pretty soon. I think we're aiming to get something to them by May, but it may be a little later. But yeah, so that would be in 2022, and the equation wouldn't change all that much because we will match the structure of the program, the last pay for the excess energy that you generate.
Okay, thank you. I'll save my remaining questions for later.
Okay.
Can I jump in real quick? With a
Oh
quick
yeah,
question?
Jeff, go ahead.
So Nelson, thank you for that presentation. It was great. I have a quick question. So if in fact the rates that are going to be provided by your organization or any percent less than SDG&E, playing devil's advocate, can you tell me why someone wouldn't want to switch to renewable energy? What would be a reason potentially? Because I can't think of one if that's actually the case.
Yeah, so there are 24 other CCAs operating in California. And so we've talked to a lot of them. And having worked at one prior to us, I can't speak necessarily as to like what the opt-out reasons are at San Diego Community Power at the moment. But in previous CCAs and what we've heard statewide is that people opt out think we're more expensive. So that confusion there, they think we're an additional charge on their bill. So, you know, there's still some education to be had in terms of like, hey, we're just replacing what the utility was doing with dirtier energy with cleaner energy. We're not an additional charge, anything of that sort. So there's some confusion around that statewide from other CCAs. A big reason that we saw in Sonoma was people did not like the fact that they were automatically transferred into our service. So that was one thing is I don't know the exact rationale, but they just said that was one of the reasons they listed. So there's all sorts of little like just tinier reasons in terms of that. But yeah, there are some concerns around the miscommunication, misunderstanding around rates, which is really important, and why I love talking about this, and I want to demystify this for everyone.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, you know, sometimes it just seems too good to be true, and most things that do seem too good to be true are. But case in point, you know, you have someone as intelligent and sharp as Moz, you know, and myself, and Shari are still a little bit confused about the rates, you know. So I hope that you guys can somehow figure that out. If that's in fact is the case, that it is cheaper and there isn't really any good logical reason not to switch to something that's going to be saving you money and helping everybody else in the world and in the county environment. There's got to be an easy way to kind of comfort everybody's skepticism, you know?
Yeah, no, it's a really valid point. And what we're trying to do with that is because we're enrolling commercial customers next, we actually have an estimation tool on our website where a commercial business, any commercial customer can go on, input some information from their bill. So if they have their bill present, and they can look at what it would cost between the 3 different services. And we're going to be developing that for residents as well, so that when we do the residential rollout in 2022, they can also do that estimation as well and really see what that would look like using information from their bill. So if you have a business or you know someone and they're like, I don't know about this, they can take a bill and look to see what it would have cost if they were enrolled with SDCP at that time.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you. I won't take any more time with that. Thanks.
Amira, sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. Pardon my idiocracy. I'm fairly new on this. So if we can start with Power 101, could you tell me how is your energy produced? Is it, I mean, I know water, fire, and solar and wind, but how is your renewable? How is this developed?
Yeah, so the state has a set of standards, what they call, and forgive me for the technical jargon, the renewable portfolio standard. Essentially, it's a set of rules of what's considered renewable. And what we are contracting for is renewable energy. And so there's a couple of contracts currently going to our board for solar energy. And so we have a procurement director who is looking at striking energy and making sure that we're getting a whole mix of them, because it's not okay to put all your eggs in one basket, so to speak. So in my previous experience up in Sonoma and in other CCAs, they did everything from solar to wind to small hydro. To geothermal, that's another big one. So there's a couple of renewable energy providers. Now, when I say couple, I would say lots of renewable energy providers throughout the state and the Western United States, where we can contract for power and get that delivered down to San Diego. And so that, again, all of that decision making in terms of like, should we buy that power from that power plant gets done locally. So ultimately our board, we have a community advisory committee, so our community board get to provide input and make the decision in terms of should we sign that contract. So I don't have the exact figures in terms of like how much is geothermal, how much is solar, how much is wind, but we will be publishing those every single year because we want to be as transparent as possible.
Thanks.
The second question I had is, sorry, Shahir. The second one is, you mentioned something, but like some companies have like, I don't know if you said it was yours or some like other companies that have poor customer service. Before people transfer to this service, is there any like Yelp or something that can tell us, the consumers, what the rating is for customer service or other services?
Yeah, I don't have like a specific Yelp review or anything of that sorts. What we've heard from customers as we've been going out and speaking to them, especially the commercial customers, is that I don't mean to bash SDG&E super a lot, but we've heard from customers that they just have not received the best customer service from their account reps on up to par. And so we're going in and saying, hey, we're here to help you. Like that's really what our existence is as account managers and key account personnel, is that we want to help you if there's any issue, any billing error or anything of that sort, or you just have any kind of question. We have a call center, but then you can also reach out to us directly. So that's part of the effective customer service that we're talking about, is that we're here to help.
Is that all? Yeah, I mean, thanks. I mean, as I saw community choice aggregation coming around the block about 10 years ago or so, I don't know, it seemed like, and when I worked at the port, we looked at it as well when Cody was there, actually. It was a very new thing. So you have, to answer kind of everybody's question, the skepticism that Jeff mentioned, you have the, what is it? You prefer the devil you know than the devil you don't. And people prefer the devil they know in SDG&E, and they don't know all the good things that something called San Diego Community Power can do. So it's a branding thing, frankly. People just prefer the familiar SDG&E. People can't even think, I've been in this town for over 40 years, you can't even think of another power provider than SDG&E, right? And all the crazy bills that you get, and you kind of suffer through it. And over the past decade or so, as solar has picked up, people begin to make that personal that choice if you can do it. Solar becomes where they lean into, but now there's community choice aggregation. So in essence, you have this business, you have changed or forced, the legislature has changed the business model of power providers like SDG&E. So now they're going from, they have to rethink how they're going to do stuff. Obviously we shut down the nuclear power plant. That has repercussions, right? So this industry has evolved a lot in the past 10 years with the shutdown, at least in Southern California, that divesting from nuclear and moving towards renewables, and all these secondary power providers showing up and changing the business model of how they're going to be doing business. Although I will say SDG&E is, as everyone knows, is a powerful lobbying utility. The fact that they've the only way I think they've even allowed CCNAs to exist is because the legislature created the construct for your existence or the mandate to go to renewable, and they didn't. I think that it would look bad to oppose community choice. That would just look bad, right? So here you guys are. How many did you say there are in the state of California?
There's 24 operational ones. And
there's more on the way?
That's a good question. Yeah, actually I do. I think there's a couple that are doing a feasibility study in the Central Valley.
Okay. Wow, so this is amazing. I think we learned a lot. If no one has any more questions, we need to digest all of this stuff and keep in touch, of course, with you and Cody and Community Power. There are, like I said, several other groups, but other than the Alliance, they're just NGOs that support sustainable clean energy. They're not necessarily doing what you're doing and the Alliance is doing, which is actually having founding members, which are chartered municipal corporations, which fund and provide the board direction, apart from your advisory group, to do what you're doing, to actually provide power. They support conversations and conferences and different things, but they don't do what you and the Alliance do, as far as I
yeah, and what I will say is that we will be working with a lot of those organizations to push forward our goals and to try and meet our goals, right? Because we can't do it by ourselves. We have to partner with people and make this happen.
Right. Well, thank you so much for coming. I would say coming to our show. Thank
you for coming to my show.
I may have had a head start on happy hours. I don't know where we're going with this, but thank you so much for coming. Please stay in touch, and we will stay in touch with you. Thank you, Nelson.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nelson.
All right. So I'm going to look to Maury for our next order of business, but I think we want to do elections, right? Mary Lou and Maury, is that how we want to?
Yes, that's right.
Actually, can I ask a quick question? Is it possible to vote on the resolution for Medicare for all?
Oh.
Whoa, sorry, was that my phone or my? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Would it be possible to do? I don't know the technical, the logistical. Maybe it's a question for Maury or Mary Lou, to do a vote on a resolution in support of Medicare for all.
Sure.
Is this how do we do it, and what are the rules, and does everyone get to vote, or is it paid members?
Mary Lou, do you have any experience?
You're on mute.
Claremont or others, do you know? You're on mute, Mary Lou.
Mary Lou, you're on mute. She's looking for her unmute button.
Paid members are members, and the other people are observers or visitors.
So, yeah. So in La Jolla Democrats, Maury, you can maybe correct me here, but the way they did it is they just requested a voice vote, and they asked if anyone objected, and they adopted the resolution.
We'll do that.
Somebody made a motion, somebody seconded it, there was a vote, yeah.
Okay, so I make a motion to adopt the Medicare for all. Did I say that right? And which we heard last time about.
Endorse it.
Well, and there's the actual text of the resolution that I emailed out.
Yeah.
Right.
Which we have, which is going to end up in our minutes that Mary Lou is going to put together anyway.
Okay. Right.
No matter record. So I make a motion. Any seconds?
I second the motion.
All right, Maury seconds it. And do we have any objections? No objections. Let the record show, Mary Lou, that we endorse Medicare for All per the resolutions that are going to be attached to the minutes.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Excellent. And I will drop a little petition on the chat box for anyone who hasn't already signed to request our congressman to stop taking industry money and to support meaningful healthcare reform. I'll put the link on the chat so you guys can take a look.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. And also, I know I'll send around. I think I did send around the link to the board anyway, not to Mr. Datcha or Saad or others. But what Julie talked about earlier in the meeting, she sent around a link. So I'm gonna put her link in the chat right now, which is basically her website, which people can go and support if they want. I just want to make sure I do this right. So hold on. Okay. Let me do this so I don't screw it up. Hang on. It's basically, oh, you got chat, everyone. So here's one from Maz, one from me. Okay. So if you go to this, where you got the text of it, Maz, that's sent to everyone. And the second link is the one that Julie mentioned earlier in the talk about two resolutions that I know Ali Saad and others maybe were not on the call, but two resolutions that she is proposing to the California Democratic Party to adopt in the legislative platform. And the two resolutions basically, as are outlined in this link, which you can sign up for as a member of the public, basically support disabled adults, not only in some record keeping and inheritance issues, but mostly protecting them from sexual abuse in care facilities. It's kind of a tough topic, I know, but it's the reality of many Americans in the state. So I'm going to keep supporting her and helping her every which way I can. And I think I mentioned, I'm just telling you guys, my plan is to, and maybe I'll need Maury's help or Ali Saad's help or others people's help. My plan is to kind of get with Nathan Fletcher because healthcare and social services is under the County of San Diego. We are residents of the county, and then help maybe get a foray or entry into the state legislature with Lorena Gonzalez Fletcher, Nathan Fletcher's wife, because I know she's an advocate for a lot of good causes and especially things like this. So that's my secret plan. So if anyone wants to help me, let me know. Just email me or something. I could use your help to make sure we get Julie to the right people. She's not a politician. She's not versed in a lot of the unfortunate political realities. And I think somebody Maz asked, who would be against this? You know, a lot of powerful insurance companies and lobbyists might be against, and groups that represent care facilities who are protected, you know, that they need to protect their billion-dollar industry. They could be against transparency. And they certainly don't want to be get caught reporting something that's going to cause them to get shut down. So she's got some powerful enemies circulating, you know, like the sharks in the water. And I want to help her because she's doing this out of the goodness of her heart because she loves her sister, wants to help. But she doesn't know the kind of sharks that are around this political issue. As good and honest and pure the cause as it is, unfortunately, she's going to have some opposition. So anyway, that's all I have on that. So
Wait, hold on. I have something. I believe Moss has posted a copy of his presentation on our. So, and many of members weren't able to see that, or non-members. So encourage people or are somewhat against it to watch the video and do what he's asking us to do, to go online and sign the petition.
Sure. So
Thank you, Amira.
okay, so with that, we have, some candidates. We're gonna have, I don't know if there's a formal way of doing this election, but we have some candidates for the new slate of board of directors, and per our bylaws, we're supposed to have elections in, is it April or May, Maury? I thought it was April.
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 Good. So we're on track. So
Shahriar, you haven't read the Constitution yet?
Why not?
I have it here somewhere.
I think
So
you're finally gonna have time to read it.
I don't, no. My time is just getting sucked up with 1,000 other things as we speak. But anyway, so I guess what we want to do is list the candidates. I don't know if I need to put a list up, but we have Maz as a candidate for president. We have Jeff as a candidate for vice president, and help me with Mary Lou and Amira is who's
Mayor Lou is the secretary and I'm the treasurer.
okay.
Yeah.
So those are the slate of candidates for the new 2021-2022 Iranian-American Democrats of San Diego Board of Directors. So we're going to have an election. I guess I'm going to put those names out, and we're not going to have a secret ballot. So should I just say any objections, or do I need to make a motion, Mary Lou?
I think you need to ask if there's any more nominations
Got it. Any more nominations for this one?
for any of these positions.
For any of these positions?
Mhm.
Does anyone want to debate Maz for anything? No.
I was
Okay.
expecting a debate, actually.
There's no debate. Everyone's trying to keep quiet so you don't change your mind. So good. No opposition. So no other.
I demand a recount.
Too late. No opposition, no debate. Now, do we make a motion or do we just all vote?
Oh, I like to make a motion that
Motion.
since we don't have any other candidates, I propose that we approve this slate of 4 candidates for the 4 offices by acclamation.
All right. I don't know if you need a second, but you have it. So that means,
Yes, we do have a second.
All right.
We want a second.
all right. So you have a second. So much quiet and peace at 7:06.
So Shahriar made the second.
I did make a second.
Yes.
I'll make a third if it helps. All right. So congratulations, incoming
Get the
board of
vote.
directors. I didn't get a gift or anything, but I hope this journey is everything you thought it was going to be. All right.
No, thank you, Shahriar. Thank you very much for being such an amazing president. And you are definitely invited to the victory party.
I'll bring the red, white, and blue balloons. No problem. So I'm going to hand the baton over to you. You have my full-throated endorsement, and you also have access to my Zoom account. So you can just pick up from here. And of course, if you want to keep me on the emails and ask for my advice or help on anything, I'm happy to do it. Some of you will begin to see some of the stuff I'm doing with my podcast series. There's a lot of stuff I'm doing to talk about politics and public service. And as Julie mentioned, autism online. So I'm kind of interviewing different people every week. About 1 or 2 people a week is what I have time for. And I'll be interviewing many of the same people that we've been talking with, mayors and congressmen and different folks. Hopefully, if I can get in the door. And if I can, I'm going to come see Maury because he's got a secret key to everybody's office. With that, any other comments for the good of the order? Any other closing comments?
Yeah, Shahriar, real quick, I just wanted to thank you again for everything that you did last year. It was a lot. And also thank you for staying on in some capacity as a consultant and whatever you said you would do, because I'm sure as great as we're all going to try, and Maz is going to be amazing. I'm definitely going to be coming to you for some questions myself. Also, I would urge you to share the information that you have about all of your new on-takings so that we can help support you in those too. And also because, I think personally, I find them pretty pretty interesting. So it wouldn't just be to support you, it would actually be valuable for me to actually listen to those things. So if you would share those with us so we can disseminate that information.
Yeah. I'll share it with you. And I think it should go without saying, anything I can do to help you guys personally or professionally, you don't have to ask, it's done. I created those platforms really based on my experience with this club and my own journey that I've had in public service and politics. So yes, I'll share it with you. Take it, and if you have suggestions on how to improve it, or if you think I should partner with this guy or that guy, or it's a very much a social entrepreneurship process. So it's very open to collaboration at any level, and of course helping. I'll just tell you real quickly on the technology channel that I have, I seem to be interviewing Iranian-American tech gurus all the time, which I love to do. I love technology. That's why I have my day job. So Canada, New York, I'm talking to all these Iranian-American, somebody in India, Iranian entrepreneur lady in India wanted some help. So I'm happy to provide that platform for her as a woman entrepreneur in technology. So I didn't know I know so many people in that field, but it turns out I do. And those platforms are all available to us, to our community at any level. So without saying, thank you, Jeff. Thank you, everyone. Obviously, this is not goodbye. It's just so long. We're going to be in touch. I'm going to look for your emails, whatever I can do. You have my 100% endorsement. Thank you, Amira and Mori, for keeping the club going. We would have fallen apart a long time ago if Amira and Mori did not provide the backbone to this club, which is recognizable. I mean, when we knock on doors, people know the club, our little club, because Amir and Mori kept it going in all these past decades. It's pretty amazing. All right, Maz.
I wanted to thank you also for everything you did last year. And also, this is neither goodbye nor so long. You're going to be staying with us, and we're going to, if you think not being a president is going to excuse you from not doing anything, that's not going to happen.
No problem. No,
Actually,
stuck on that one.
Well
Actually,
said.
we expect him to be present in all of our meetings of the board and the general meetings as the past president.
And
Yeah,
the family too.
In fact, as a former president, you basically take on Maury's role, essentially.
Yeah.
You got to do all the legwork behind the scenes.
Nobody can pick up Maury's role. But I was thinking, like Trump did, I could set up an office of the former president. For what purpose, I have no idea. But I could go to Florida, put my leg up, have a pina colada, and set up something like that. But anyway, guys, we're going to conclude. Thank you so much for your energy and your contributions to this cause. As you see with Julie and with Nelson, there's real issues that we can be helpful in educating our community and helping the progressive cause. Real issues that make real impact in people's lives. And we've done that. So good stuff is on the horizon. And
I have a suggestion regarding these two issues. Since we have quite a long list of emails that Amira could send both of these issues by email to these members and ask for their support, both on autism and on the Medicare for All.
Yeah,
I think that's a great idea.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the suggestion, Maury.
That's a good idea.
Not sure why I didn't think of it.
You'll discover as president how many things you will not know, and you will have to rely on the people around you to fill in the great many blanks that will be going through your head.
That's another reason for my suggestion that Shahriar should be present in all of our meetings.
I will be present, but not entirely coherent, because this is well past my happy hour time. So I've been trying to keep it together for you guys so I don't embarrass you guys. But after 6 o'clock, my wife and I head towards the fine wine and leave the kids on their own somewhere around the house. So Thank you so much. We'll be in touch, and I'll send around some of the links on the stuff I'm doing. But and I expect the next date for our next event is when, Maury? May?
I don't have it, but as soon as I figure it out, I also would like to suggest that we invite Lorena Gonzalez as our next speaker.
Yeah.
May 18. May 18 is going to
May
be.
18th.
Okay.
Lorena Gonzalez.
Yes, I mean Nathan Fletcher's wife.
Right.
I think that's a good idea, Maury. And actually, one other logistical note, I'm thinking maybe we should have, since there's a, we just had the elections and all, I think I should just call a short meeting with the board, maybe in the next week or so, and we can just have a quick brainstorming session.
Sure.
So that we
Excellent.
can do some more long-term planning, not just, May 18, but beyond.
Okay.
Very good.
Excellent.
I'll
Good
call
night,
for that
everyone.
meeting.
Good night.
All right.
Thank you.
Good night,
Good
everybody.
night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank